Episode 6 of Record Reviews, let's get it! So remember that record store I talked about in episode 3? Well, that following spring break, I came back, and I achieved even more Sesame records, some of which I didn't see the last time, some of which I didn't, and this is going to be a 4-in-1, so you're not going to see all 4 records seen in the title of this video. And given that the first one I'm about to show is from 1974, I should tell you about the records of Sesame Street back then. To start off, it was at this point that the Children's Television Workshop made their own record company, simply titled Sesame Street Records. And for that first year of the record company, it started out pretty decent. It was mostly compilation albums from the show or the previous Columbia records, 6 of which were dedicated to the main Muppet cast of that decade, Big Bird, Oscar, Grover, whatever, and one of those is what I'm going to show right now, so get ready for this. Here is C is for Cookie, an album all about Cookie Monster. Here we see on this fine yellow cover, we see Cookie Monster holding up a letter C, and after he takes a bite out of it, he realizes C is for Cookie. Boy, is that good enough for him. That's something which you will see on this record, surprise, surprise. But you also see Herbert Birdsfoot telling some stories and Cookie meeting up with other street residents. I'd also like to point out something odd about the cast credits from almost all of the 74 records. Sure, they're referring to the current show, the cast of the current show, but there are also cases when these cast members don't appear at all on such records. Like on this one, we don't really hear Jim Henson, do we? Okay, maybe we do, but not as Ernie. But there's also other characters like Bert, Big Bird, and Snuffy and all that. Yeah, you get the point, basically. And now if we get this thing on the record player, let's get to hearing this thing. It's also in perfect condition.
What starts with the letter C? Cookie starts with C. Let's think of other things that start with C. Who cares about other things? C is for Cookie. That's good enough for me. C is for Cookie. That's good enough for me. C is for Cookie. That's good enough for me. Oh, Cookie, Cookie, Cookie starts with C. Oh.
Next up we have Let Your Feelings Show from 1977. See, this is an album all about, feelings. And we got Ernie and Bert over here, comedy and tragedy styling, with Ernie doing the sad and Bert doing the happy. And what's funny is that the real life counterparts are showing the exact opposite feeling. If we turn the back cover, you'll notice there's lots of songs about being happy, sad, angry, maybe grouchy. Speaking of songs about feeling angry, why aren't Little Jerry and the Monotones on this record? They did lots of songs about feelings, and the main man would speak of that kind of rock music in 1988. Okay, we at least get a rock song on this record, but also, like the front cover says, also includes the Muppets version of the hit single Feelings. And on this record, it was done by Mary Banilow? Okay, let's get this thing on the record player, why not? This thing is just in perfect condition, skipless, or at least that's what it was when I bought it, and it also never helps when there's a little hole in the top or bottom of the case, which I taped up there. Anyway, let's listen to this fucking thing.
It's funny, it's funny, so funny, don't you see? How we all laugh at funny things, and laugh so differently. Now some laugh, ha, ha, and some laugh, oh, ho, ho, and some laugh, tee, tee, some giggle, ha.
You know what's funny? This isn't the recording that was used on the show. It was better the first time. Side 2 time. But what about the feeling where you can feel all kinds of ways, especially when you listen to music like this? This kind of seems like the finale of this review, but we're still not done. There's 2 more on the way. Next up is the official Sesame Street 2 book and record album, starring the original cast, brought to you by the letters W and B. Yes, being another cast album, this is a sequel to the Sesame Street book and record, the previous one produced in 1970, and it's almost the same as the last one, just has some new songs and a new cast of characters, and some are still the same from last time, such as Gordon, Mr. Pooper, Susan, Bob isn't on this one, and Jim Henson's Muppets too. Speaking of which, let's see what they have to say. Are we on the record, Bert? You bet, Ernie. There's a big songbook that comes with this album, and I'm the tallest bird in it. I, Grover, sing on this record. Listen, I happen to be on this record too. I'm not very happy about it. Egad, my keen eyes have spotted some clever stick-on labels inside. Spoiler alert, you're not going to see this character on this record. And speaking of stick-on labels, they do come with that, just that wasn't how it was when I bought it. Let's just look at the back cover for now. See, we got Grover holding up some signs about the tracks we see on the record. You know, the theme song as usual, but also new songs like Everyone Makes Mistakes, so yes, they do. What do I do when I'm alone? A song about circles and going around, around, and the classic Joe Raposo hit song, Sing. Also, here's one of the stickers that comes with the album. Yeah, it was taped on when I bought that, but anyway, let's see what these monsters have to say.
Oh boy, Cookie find Punch-Out Sesame Street signs inside, and they look delicious.
Yeah, they also come with that, but not all of it was there when I bought this.
Remarkably good-looking cast.
Even after you dropped those puppets last season, you still want to illustrate them. Speaking of which, the artist in this book, this album, Mike Smolin, seems to have a thing for the Season 1 designs. Even after they were dropped, you still got Ernie's pink nose and the hints of his old sweater there. Anyway, let's just look on the inside gatefold sleeve. It does say book and record, but again, not all the pages were included, which I don't mind, but gee, that was fun, wasn't it, Bert? Yep. Bye-bye, everybody! I, Grover, am going to be so lonesome. I bet we left Cookie back at the bakery. Why are you saying goodbye to me? We haven't even started playing the tracks. Anyway, let's do that shit now. I also want to give out a little warning. There are going to be some skips throughout this, mostly on side 1 here, so be prepared, I guess. Yeah, I'm just going to play some copy I found online so I can tell you about this fun fact. The vocals used for this performance on this record were used on the opening theme during the show from seasons 30 to 32. There's little no skips on side 2, so let's go with that. was referencing this track earlier in the video, but you hear it now. Boy, am I getting exhausted as of now, but thank goodness we're on the last one for today. And here it is. Sesame Street Fever from 1978. In a reference to the record Saturday Night Fever, we got Sesame Street Fever, all about the disco. You got Grover and John Travolta style, along with Ernie Burton Cookie in the middle here. And if we go to the back cover over here, you might notice this is one of the records where there's a special guest on this record, and that is Robin Gibb of the Bee Gees. Staying Alive isn't on this record, by the way. There's also our Sesame Street friends who produced this record. Joe Raposo, who would also produce the sequel, Sesame Disco, the following year. The record we talked about last episode. But wait, there's more. Like the sequel, there's also an inside gatefold sleeve right here. Also, I apologize, on the bottom there's feces all covered in it. That was the way when I bought it. It gets worse once we get to the record player. And the condition of the record, it's not that good. Okay, so get ready. Yeah, there are a couple skips here and there, track to track. Sorry, I can't do it all today. That about wraps up this 4-in-1 edition of Sesame Record Reviews. Stay tuned for next episodes, 3-in-1. I'll see y'all then. This might be the longest fucking video on the channel.